I'm a little bit intimidated. There was a little bit of hostel drama. So I'm currently in Arusha in Tanzania. I just landed here this morning. I spent all of yesterday and all of last night on flights from Madrid. And so far, I've had a little chance to see the city from the car. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little bit intimidated by it. Arusha is not particularly dangerous, and Tanzania is not a particularly dangerous country. Actually, one of the reasons why I decided to come here and travel here as a solo female traveler is because I feel quite safe here. I traveled to Zanzibar last year and I felt super safe, so I decided to come back and explore the mainland. However, Arusha is quite chaotic and it's very different from the cities that I'm used to, the cities that I live in Spain and other cities that I've traveled to in Western Europe. So it's not better, it's not worse, it's just very different. And as a foreigner, that can be quite intimidating. It's quite scary to land in a city that is so different in such a foreign place, and particularly when you're by yourself. So the first thing that I'm doing here today is a walking tour of Arusha to see if I can kind of get over that, because after a bunch of activities that I'm going to do, a bunch of safaris that I'll be doing in Tanzania, I'll be coming back here. And I want to be able to walk around the city and own it, and feel completely comfortable in it. But first, I have to go on that walking tour, and I'll let you know what I think of Arusha after that, if I'm still intimidated by it, if I feel a little bit better about it. So let's go. Arusha is known as the capital of safaris because all of the major safari expeditions and all of the safari holidays that go to Serengeti and Ngorongoro and all of the major national parks in northern Tanzania start in Arusha. And I'll actually be doing that in a few days' time. You'll get to see it in my next videos on YouTube. But right now, I'm right here in Arusha. And not a lot of people actually take the time to see the city and to explore it, even though the vast majority of tourists that end up in northern Tanzania have to go through Arusha at some point. Very few people actually explore it and do tours around the city. So the main reason that people don't really stay in Arusha for long is that there really isn't much to see around here. It doesn't really have a whole lot of monuments or a whole lot of museums, but one of the more touristic places in the area is a place called the Cultural Heritage Center, which was my first stop in my city tour of Arusha. So the Cultural Heritage Center is basically a giant souvenir shop. In all honesty, it is kind of a tourist trap, but you know, it's nice if you want to buy a few souvenirs. And it also has an African art gallery. So this art gallery is the biggest art gallery of African art in the continent. And I don't really understand much about art, I don't really like it, so I didn't enjoy this place that much, but if you do, then this is a place that you should definitely go to if you're in Arusha. So I walked around here for a while, and I have to say it's very impressive. There's just so much stuff, and it is so huge. So I did enjoy walking around here, and I did buy some stuff. So I bought a Maasai blanket, which is something that I knew that I wanted to get before I came to Tanzania. I got a notebook, I got some jewelry for my mom and as gifts for friends, and I bought coffee. So if you know me, you know that I love coffee, and particularly coffee from East Africa is just delicious. I love Kenyan coffee, I love Tanzanian coffee, and I always bring some with me when I come back home, when I travel in Tanzania. Like, I filled up my suitcase with coffee before coming back home. I just love it that much. And while Arusha may not have a whole lot of things that appeal to tourists, that doesn't mean that there isn't anything to see here. And in the next part of my tour, we went to the central market in Arusha, which I genuinely found fascinating. So I don't know about you, but I love visiting marketplaces, particularly food markets all over the world. Because the thing that I love about them is that markets are not made for tourists' eyes. They're not made with tourists in mind. So they give you insights about local life and people's lifestyles and the dynamics of a country that you just can't grasp if you stick only to visiting monuments and touristic sites. So in I went and I followed my guide through the very narrow streets of the central market in Arusha, which is divided into a women's section that sells mostly fruit and vegetables, and into a men's section where you can kind of find everything, but that's where you find more of the spices and more of the meat and this kind of thing. And this place is a labyrinth. It is so easy to get lost in here. So I just followed my guide, and honestly, I think you should travel with a guide here, because if not, you're gonna go in and you're never gonna get out of this place. There were lots of interesting foods that I had either never seen before or that are very difficult to find in Europe. So for example, mobuyu, which are the seeds of the baobab tree, which are kind of eaten as sweets. I was really surprised by the size of the avocados here. There were lots of tilapias, which is a fish that you can't find in Europe. There was salt from Lake Natron, lots of spices.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
Turmeric powder. So, and also this one, we know this.
This is cinnamon.
Yes, cinnamon.
Yeah.
This is cinnamon.
Yeah.
And this one powder.
Yeah.
And also this one.
Now I can't think of it. I don't know the name in English.
Cumin.
Yes. Okay.
Cumin seed.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
This.
Okay.
The powder. Like a rice.
Yes.
Also this one.
I also don't know the name in English. I'm sorry. Sorry. This is cloves.
Cloves.
Yeah. Okay.
The powder. And also this is seed.
Yeah.
Yes.
These I saw in Zanzibar.
Yes.
Yeah, they grow a lot of
Spice
them
we
there.
grow here in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the best coffee from Tanzania.
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, I know.
With the Arabica, with the roasted beans.
Yeah.
With the powder.
I know.
Yes.
It is very good here.
They have a much.
And to absolutely no one's surprise, I bought more coffee here. The coffee I'm buying is Kilimanjaro coffee. So this is coffee that is grown in this area of Tanzania, and particularly in the low areas of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa. It's a volcanic mountain, so this is coffee that is grown in volcanic soil, which makes it extra special. I bought it last year when I was in Zanzibar and I absolutely loved it, so definitely buying lots of that here again. After going to a viewpoint where you could see part of the market from above, we ventured out into the chaotic streets of Arusha, where the traffic is absolutely insane. You really have to be careful when you're crossing the street here, just so no motorcycle, no tuk-tuk or no matatu runs you over. So we went through the bus terminal in Arusha, which is probably the most chaotic place in the entire city, but I was very thankful that we actually went through here because, you know, someday I'll want to use public transportation in Tanzania, in this city particularly, and I'll feel more comfortable knowing that I've been here before. I also loved seeing the matatus. So matatus are these mini buses that kind of serve as public transportation in Tanzania. You see them all over the country and you see lots of them in Arusha. And they're kind of painted with things that the owner likes, and they have these slogans, which honestly I find some of them so funny. My favorite one was one that said "Be fruitful and multiply." I mean, that is so funny to me. And you know, these mini buses, you can just tell that the owners, the people here, have so much personality, so much character, and I'm here for it. I love it. So eventually we walked into this building that I can't locate. I don't know exactly where it is, but if you go up, you get to this viewpoint where you can see all of the bus terminal and all of its chaos from above. You can also see some of the neighboring streets, a football field, and on a clear day, you can see a view of Mount Meru, which is Tanzania's second highest mountain, and it's right next to Arusha. After walking for a bit longer around the city and seeing some other markets, we eventually got into the car and went somewhere else that is, again, very touristic, and that is the Maasai Market. So I'm sure you've heard of the Maasai tribe before. They're one of the most well-known tribes in Africa, and they're from Kenya and Tanzania, and they're very, very distinctive. They have very distinctive traditions. You'll actually be seeing a lot more about the Maasai and different Tanzanian cultures in the next few videos that I'm going to be posting, so make sure you subscribe and you stay tuned for that. But going back to the Maasai Market, so it's one of those places where you can buy lots of souvenirs, and it's very different from the Cultural Heritage Center. If I'm honest, I felt like a little bit hassled over here, like everyone just wanted me to buy and was pressuring me to buy. So I didn't love this place, but I did go into a few shops where the sellers were very nice and kind of just explained to me a bit of the things that they had around their shops.
This is the wood.
Yeah.
The wood,
Okay. Yeah.
This is the shells.
And the other one,
Another beads and Maasai.
yeah.
This is the beads and Maasai.
Yeah, this is the Maasai. Okay.
Maasai tribes.
Maasai tribe. Yeah, because like it has the beads and typical.
Yeah, Maasai.
And this one, which one did you say
Maasai
was?
men.
This is also Maasai men.
Yeah, this
Okay,
is
interesting.
Maasai chief, the woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
This is Makonde.
Makonda tribe.
Yes,
Okay.
Tanzania.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
And the white one?
What one now is the chief of the like Barabeg, because the
Ah,
chief
okay.
have the up here.
Yes.
then
Okay.
the
Okay.
school, yeah.
And that's okay. I can take it. It's fine. It's fine.
Yes, yeah.
But thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's my
Yeah. So you play like with like beads or like stones. Yeah. Yeah.
Just around is like these two.
Yeah.
And then another, and then another.
Ah. Okay.
So these two road I play.
Mhm.
This is a lot. This is the
Yeah?
game. And
Yeah.
these two road another people.
Another
play.
person
this is
plays.
the
Okay.
Games, yes, because this
Ah.
is
Okay.
the people head.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you. So I did end up getting some things from this shop. I got a few postcards and a few souvenirs. And this is where my city tour ends. So this is it for today, but I will be back in Arusha after all of my safaris and I will be spending a few more days here. So it's good that I went on the city tour because I definitely feel more comfortable walking around here now than I did previously. And yes, I walked with a guide on my first day here, but I think I would be comfortable walking by myself the next few days. So yeah, I think going on a city tour is a great way to kind of beat that initial fear or intimidation that you get when you go to a new place. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll let you know how my next few days in Arusha go. Just returned from my trip to Tanzania. I am no longer in Arusha, but I wanted to come on here to just kind of recap my experience. So when I landed, I was super intimidated by the city, and I think part of that was just the initial shock of landing in a new country and seeing that it is very, very different from what I'm used to. And honestly, I kind of expected to feel that way, just not so much. I did not expect to be so intimidated by Arusha. But I think part of the reason why I was so intimidated was that I stayed in a hotel in the city center that was in a very, very chaotic part of town. And it honestly was a little bit sketchy. Like, the people there were very nice, but it was a very big hotel. I was the only guest in there. And yeah, it was a little bit sketchy. It felt a little bit off. When I returned from my safari, I stayed in a different part of town in a place called the Green Garden Hostel, which I highly recommend. It was a very nice place. It's in the same street as the Kibo Palace Hotel, and it's in a very calm and secure area. I felt a lot safer there and a lot more comfortable. It wasn't as noisy, it wasn't as chaotic, and I felt like it was easier to walk in that area as opposed to where my previous hotel was, closer to the city center and closer to the bus terminal. Definitely contributed to me feeling a little bit more at home and a little bit less intimidated by the city. I definitely felt more comfortable once I switched accommodations, and I also took the time to explore a little bit of the nature around Arusha because, Arusha city doesn't really have that many things to do. I still find it very interesting because, again, it's very different from what I'm used to here in Spain. So, for me, there's lots of things to see. But when it comes to monuments and that kind of thing, there just isn't much. So I went outside of the city and I went to see Materuni waterfalls, which is, I think, the highest waterfall in northern Tanzania. To the waterfall, you have to hike for a couple of hours in the midst of beautiful coffee fields and lush green forest, which is stunning. And then the waterfall itself is just amazing. And something else I did there was, well, I ate local food while I was there, and I also did a coffee tour, which is, just a tour of how the Chaga cultivate coffee in the area. This is the area around Mount Kilimanjaro, so it's a couple of hours away from Arusha. Definitely other activities, other nature activities that you can do around the city, like going to Arusha National Park or Mount Meru. You can do coffee tours closer to Arusha, And you can also go to the Chemka Hot Springs, which I didn't have the chance to go there, but I would definitely like to go next time I'm in Tanzania. Got really lucky with the people that I met at the hostel. So I met some people over there, and the last few days I kind of just explored Arusha with them. We didn't do much. We just went to a few places that were a bit more local and that I honestly, otherwise I wouldn't have ever gone there. So it was really, really nice that I got to spend that time with them, have great conversations, and yeah, see a different side of Arusha that I wouldn't have otherwise experienced. There was a little bit of hostel drama. So there was this lady at the hostel, this older lady who I thought was a guest, and I started talking to her. And, you know, she had come to Tanzania to try to find work. She is from a country in Europe. She didn't like the weather there, so she came to Tanzania just to have sunlight and work. And all she did was complain about how Tanzania was not like Europe. So like she complained about salaries, she complained about the differences in culture. Like she just was mad that Tanzania wasn't like Europe, which I found kind of wild. I also got the feeling that, you know, she complained about everything and that she just didn't do her research before going to Tanzania to find work. At one point, I tried to help her because she wanted to leave Tanzania and she was trying to find flights out of the country back to Europe, and everything was super, super expensive. So, you know, I just tried to help her out, tried to, you know, offer her some info to get a shuttle to Nairobi because flights from Nairobi are cheaper. I talked to her about visas, you know, like just shared a little bit of experience and stuff, tried to help her out, and literally everything was a problem. Like, I don't know, she was just impossible, to be honest. She complained about absolutely everything. Later I found out that she was actually working at the hostel, which, I mean, I thought she was just a guest, but I think she was working there in exchange for food and accommodation. And yeah, eventually she just got into an argument with the people from the hostel and was kicked out. But yeah, that was eventful. It was actually quite a bit of drama.
If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video where I will head out to do a safari in the Serengeti.